All right, so good night to all. So basically, this is my take on the Sean Luke murder trial verdict today. So just to um, remind you of the situation, two at the time teenagers were charged with the murder of Sean Luke. They were Akil Mitchell and Richard Chattu. So what happened is basically um, they took the child out of Canefield. It was they were accused of, and they also did depart with the Keenstock, which I don't really want to bring up at this point in time because I heard that over and over today, and that was something very hard, and I don't want to bring it to you all, but just a bit of my take and summarize stuff. So basically, what happened is the magistrate, well, she had to, before delivering a verdict, in a statement, she had to express, the limitations because this matter took 15 years to reach at this point to have a verdict. Um, she also, spoke of the fact that it was a judge alone um, trial and no juries were, or no, there were no jury in this matter on and jurors. She also spoke of the fact that it was mainly held via a virtual platform, the limitations, but at least it still reached the point where they could have received a verdict. So I guess everything was kind of okay. Other than that, the judge was speaking of there were requests of stay of proceedings by the lawyers of the accused, and then the voir dire that basically is a proceeding where certain evidence can be thrown out or requested to be thrown out by the accused. And there were two such proceedings by both Mitchell and Chatto. So basically, after overcoming all those matters, then the judge had to express, which parts of the evidence she took and used to come with her verdict. Um, and she explained basically everything, what was used and why it was used and so on. And basically, the summary, what she came up with is that Chattu and Mitchell premeditated this act, but they used the opportunity that came about when they carried Luke to the, the cane field, and there was a water hole where, a literal water hole where they used to catch fish, the children in that particular village. So she said, even though that they they pre-planned it, but also they used the opportunity, they got the opportunity to commit this act. So they seem like, from what she said, it seems based on the evidence that this was something pre-planned, but they just could not get the opportune moment, and they eventually did, and they followed through on the act. So basically what happened, it is said that Mitchell would have sodomized Luke. He would have also, with the help of Chatu, because he said Chatu was basically there at the time, and he was basically holding the boy down for Mitchell to do whatever he was doing. That's based on what Ramsumir Hines said in giving a verdict. And basically, they she read that they were guilty, and due to the age, they would not be receiving the death penalty because they were teenagers at the time. But there's a possibility in next week's hearing for sentencing they may get life, because she said of the gruesome nature, the premeditation, and the fact that you were inserting something into a part of the cavity that you knew for a fact would have been painful. I mean, you couldn't do something like that. And there was a part in the evidence where she said, I think was Avinash Babulal, another guy who was part of the proceedings. He was not accused. Actually, he was a witness against the accused, and he was saying that he heard something sound as if there was feedback of a mic when you put on a mic on a, let's say, a considerable sound system. You hear a shriek of the mic. He heard something like that. So that could have been at, basically, if you put in everything together, that would have been when the cane stalk was inserted. The child would have shrieked or squealed, basically, to sound like when you buy a sound system and you hear the feedback from the mic, how it hurts your ears. So the judge said that no manslaughter, nothing like that, is absolute murder, and both accused were found guilty of murder. Um, there was an article in the Guardian which I read a few hours after the verdict, and it was an interview done by Sean Luke's mother, and she said that she could never receive any justice because the only justice would be she receiving her son back, which is impossible. She also had a sympathetic view towards Mitchell and Chatu. She said, now their lives are destroyed forever, and it gives her no satisfaction that that would be the situation now for the rest of their life. She just hoped that, and she spoke very highly and spiritually about things, where she said that um, she was highly spiritual in the sense that she hoped they could turn their life to the Lord, seek remorse, seek forgiveness. She also went on to say that even though they would have received the verdict here, but there's still another dimension where they have to be called to answer. So, and she spoke of she having or needing faith to go through the torment, because she said, like times she would just take a pillow and place it against her mouth and scream because the psychological effect of having this event happen to her was so gruesome and brutal that she is the only way she can go forward. Um, so basically, I was shocked that was her take, because a lot of Trinis at this point in time were so glad, and actually they felt like it wasn't justice because they needed to see blood, for the fact that these guys were accused of such a gruesome act. Well, it's not accused anymore because the verdict now is guilty. So basically, you can say they committed the acts. Um, so this is my take on the Sean Luke murder trial. I still believe when the event happened, there were a lot of people that reached out to the mother, and who knows, probably people should still try to reach out to her because of the traumatic nature of the event. And you can see still, based on the Guardian article, she isn't nowhere close to finding closure in this matter. So just to summarize, Sean Luke, murder accused, Chatu and Mitchell, they today were handed a guilty verdict by Judge Lisa Ramsumer Hines. And let's just hope the only thing this country can get from this whole um, matter, this whole situation, is that 15 years shouldn't, in no way should be a timeline to have a matter resolved. We should seek to have these matters resolved way before that. So whatever the justice system needs to do, whatever the judiciary needs to do, we need to get that done and dusted, and let's make sure none of this happens anymore. So that's my take on it. You know, this is an unedited video, so let's just hope, we get some results, as I said. So anyway, thanks for listening if you do listen, and have a good night.